Welcome to Manga Machinations! This is episode number 463, and this week we're doing a manga in motion on the movie Belle. I'm Dakazu, and with me is Star Fox 8
Hello, everybody.
and Seamus2389.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Morgana's out this week. Instead, the three of us here are going to be doing a anime movie review of Belle, Mamoru Hosoda's Belle. We are currently live streaming our recording over on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/mangamactv. We get some people in the chat. Hey, Don's in the chat. Good old bunny cartoon.
Welcome.
We got Darfox on cam. Seamus and I are on voice.
I got my light
Very
pink
nice.
polo on.
Yeah, looking very snazzy and nice,
Only
Darfox.
for special occasions and also for sometimes I just wear it to work.
Let's see. Chris is in the chat. Tyler is also in the chat. We did talk about Belle a while ago with Darfox. You saw Belle in theaters.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters, so I made a video with it with Amber on the YouTube, on which you all are watching right now. So there is Belle content. There is Manga Mac Belle content, but I probably only vaguely talked about it here on the podcast in vague terms. And
now we're gonna get into it in our main segment.
Yes, I made the other boys watch it.
Oh boy, how did we? But before we get started on everything, welcome to our podcast. Essentially, we're a book club for manga, and we like to cover more unknown stuff. And that's probably why we're covering Belle 2 years after it came out.
That's right.
But, if you want to support our podcast, you can buy us a coffee. I remember this time, Darfox, to plug our coffee page, manga, ko-fi.com/mangamac. We can see our lovely donators here. Thanks again to Deluid, Vicky Dalton, Mia, Dr. Meltface, Wyatt, Port Mexican 72, Philip, Liquidist002, and Xteen. Thank you so much for contributing to our coffee, buying us a coffee to help support us so we can buy our manga for this podcast. Very, very nice.
Very generous people. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Cliff is also here in the chat. Sorry, Cliff, I didn't mention you.
To talk about like it's already Christmas. What's going on?
I don't know.
As soon as July 4th is over, it's basically Christmas. LOL. Okay.
What about Halloween? I think Morgana's going to take some umbrage to that.
Halloween's not a real holiday.
Oh, I like how you chose to say that right now when Morgana is in here to be upset about it.
Sure.
Yeah, picking your battles, eh?
But I'd also say 4th of July, I think, only counts as a real holiday in this country.
Yeah, in America.
Yes, I mean, it's not a holiday in the sense that you get the day off. This is actually, we're recording Labor Day weekend, so Monday is off. Darfox, do you have off?
I do actually have off. I don't always have holidays off, but I have this one off. Nice.
It's nice. My wife also has off, which means my wife is going to join us for Manga Machination Mahjong Mondays.
Yeah, and I actually don't work Tuesday, so I work today. I had to work today, but because I'm off Sunday and Monday's a holiday, and then Tuesday is basically what we call our flex day because I worked on the weekend. I have a 3-day weekend, but it's kind of like offset by a day, so I go back to work on Wednesday, which is going to be kind of weird.
That's nice, though.
Yeah.
So, Seamus, tomorrow you're going to go to AEW's pay-per-view in Chicago, All Out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
Gotta pick up a ticket for like 2/3 of the price off.
Nice.
Wait, did you or are you saying?
Oh, no, I did.
Okay.
Because I saw someone there being like, they were doing like floor seats for Dynamite for $13, and I was like, is that cutting the price? Am I cut the price on the All Out? And I looked at it yesterday, $100 section down to $35. I think because it's right opposite the hard cam, because it's only that section that was $35. And I was like, yeah, I'll pay $35 to go to the show.
People want to be on TV. They pay money to just be on TV for brief seconds at a time. There's major news in the wrestling world. We're not going to get too much into it, but the Chicago town is not going to be happy with the news that happened, and they're they're doing a show today and a show tomorrow, which is the one you're going to.
Mm.
I don't know. What do you anticipate? You think the crowd's going to be unruly?
CM
Def-
Punk's CM
definitely
Champ
tonight.
Punk's.
And I think the appearance of Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks or Tony Khan will not
Adam
be met
Page.
well.
Adam Page. Yeah.
I don't know. Is he as like? I guess him, but
Adam Page technically started the whole beef, and then he just kind of very quietly stepped aside, and then it became a Young Bucks thing, which is always really funny to me.
I would rank it Tony Khan number 1, Young Bucks number 2, Omega 3, Adam Page 4. In terms of like who they would be most be like, fuck you for appearing in front of us.
Yeah, a very popular Chicagoan, I don't know how to say, Chicago citizen,
Chicago native.
Chicago person, very popular wrestler from Chicago, got fired. Like literally, like what, 40 minutes ago, like 50 minutes ago, by at the time of this recording. So it's very gossipy in the world of wrestling right now. So it's a big long story, but it's gonna be funny and fun and hopefully not too kind of weird and gross. Obviously, don't want people getting hurt over this shit. It's pretty silly. So if something like that happen.
I look forward to hearing Sheamus's report next week. But also, Sheamus, are you looking forward to anything at the pay-per-view? Any of the matches?
Well, if this rumors Ricky Steamboat, Ricky Stark strap match happens, I'll be looking forward to that. Moxley, Orange Cassidy, Miro, Hobbs. I don't know about Takeshita Omega. That could be a good match. That could be an awful shite match. Like you know, as someone pointed out before, Kenny Omega needs to just go back to Japan and like never be allowed to wrestle in the US ever again. It just brings out the worst in him.
Jesus.
Nah, he's the best bout machine. It's okay. It's okay.
I will say this whole Punk firing has made that that FTR Young Bucks tag matches. I just plan to read a book during like instantly fascinating. Given there's 6 people in there who are like collision people and the 2 like enemy people. So yeah, that'd be fun to see. I don't know. Maybe the Young Bucks will like just do what they did last time and just not show their faces. No, but I think I do want to see that crowd reaction. That's the one thing I like about live wrestling shows is like interesting crowd reactions. Like, well, I've no interest in the match, but it's interesting to see how the crowd react.
Yeah, and live events are always interesting because of that.
Oh, they got that Shibata Eddie Claudio Yuta match. That was the one where I saw that and I was like, if I can get a cheap ticket, I think I might go to the show. I don't know about that Chris Statlander Ruby Soho match. Could be good, mightn't be good. Hard to say. MJF Adam Cole match, don't give a fuck about. I'll just read my book.
God, it's such a Sheamus move to fucking like pull out his Kindle and just fucking read it while a match is happening.
Like that. That's why you bring the Kindle to wrestling shows. Is like, like I've been to like, oh god, there was a show in Ireland, OTT, and they had the lead over. It was when Cody was part of it. The fucker had like a 10-minute entrance, like going around having people kiss the ring. I just pulled out the Kindle and read away.
Seamus, somebody's gonna take a picture of you reading the Kindle while somebody's coming out. And they're gonna be like, "My man's reading the Kindle," or something. It's gonna become a meme.
Well, if they take a shot of it looking up at me, sure it'll be advertising for Manga Machinations because I got the Amber's one of the
nice, yes.
What's the thing? The what you call
the
them
decal?
again?
The
yes,
yeah.
the decal. Yeah, Manga Mac TV is on the back of my Kindle.
I thought I had it next to me actually, but I don't. Somewhere in my
But now that I think of it, I actually think I don't know will it be well lit enough for me to actually read the Kindle.
It's not backlit?
You don't have a backlit Kindle?
No, I have an old one. Like I've had this one for years.
Oh, upgrade! Come on, you read enough. It's an investment.
Yeah, but I'm barely ever in a situation where I'm reading where I need the backlight. But I think the section I'm in now might be a bit better lit. And look, and if not, look, sure, I have the old phone on me. Like I'll just watch a match on the phone.
Again, another Sheamus fucking move to watch a different wrestling match. You're at a
I've got like a playlist of like 100 matches on YouTube that I have to watch. Like there's some 5-minute one there I just added, so that'll cover like throw together a few of the shorter ones.
I love it. Okay, we've taken a wrestling detour for long enough. This is a Manga podcast, so sorry about that, everybody.
Oh, believe it or not,
I'll to say, do you know what I did? And like a couple hours before this firing happened, I bought myself a CM Punk shirt, and I made sure to buy one that did not have an AEW logo visible on it, because I was like, I don't give a fuck about AEW. I just care about Punk.
That might be worth money now.
I was thinking like, will they have to stop selling the AEW ones, or like who owns? Because some of them don't have AEW on it, other ones do, and I was like, how does that work legally in terms of who owns the right to those ones? And like I'm expecting a lawsuit, given that someone pointed out they said termination with cause, so that gives him like easy grounds for a lawsuit.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, let's
get
move.
messy.
We'll move along from wrestling talk. I don't have an email, but I do have something from our Discord. Vicky Dalton is one of our listeners, and she wrote something in our Discord about the Slam Dunk movie that she watched. I'm going to read that. Just watched the first Slam Dunk last night, and all I can say is I'd rather have watched an animated version of Slam Dunk than whatever that was. Also, I went with my other half, who is not a fan of sad movies, and he just came out saying, "Why is it so sad?" He doesn't know Slam Dunk, and I was like, it shouldn't have been? I feel like it's stealthed in a bunch of very middling stereotypical drama. Listening to Dakazu's thoughts now, and I pretty much agree across the board. It was impressive how on model the faces were, and there were some basketball moments that were very cool. But overall, I want my goofy thug best boy back. It did feel like a self-indulgent Takehiko Inoue project.
Validating, huh?
I feel so validated.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fans of that movie. People really like that movie, but I think the reasons you said you pointed out make a lot of sense as to why it's kind of like a letdown.
Yeah, I mean, you can listen to the episode where I talked about it in depth about like what I felt worked and what I felt was very strange. It might mirror a discussion we're about to have
Ooh,
in a bit.
in a little bit.
In a little bit. Well, yeah, if you also want to comment on our Discord, just head over to discord.me/mangamac. And maybe I will read it out of the blue. Alright, let's move along to some what you been reading next. I'll turn to Seamus first. Seamus, did you read or watch anything this week you want to talk about?
Nope.
Alright. Darfox,
Yes.
what do you want to talk about?
Well, first I want to do a little bit of show and tell, which I do occasionally, on the live stream, and I'm for podcasters. I'm going to try and be as descriptive as possible, and this won't take long. But we do have Don in the chat, so it's even more appropriate that I show this off. But Don on her coffee does little commissions to do like these decorated cards. One moment. I have it in the plastic sleeve because I don't have it anywhere safe yet, and I don't want to like pass my hands over it because it's basically like a bunch of like stickers and decals on something.
Okay.
So, Don, and actually, Don, if you don't mind, can you remind me what the price was? I don't remember what I paid for this, but it was a very reasonable price. Basically, you send Don a picture, and she will make a decorated card such as this. And I chose Chow Yun Fat, character Mark, from the movie A Better Tomorrow, lighting his cigarette on a burning $100 bill. It's actually a counterfeit, because he's like a gangster in that movie. But as you see, like all of these decorations on the card are all like individual little stickers, and they're all like very like specifically placed, and it's all very nice. And I've been wanting to kind of collect the posters and kind of doodads and kind of like unique things, postcards, dealing with Hong Kong actors and just the Hong Kong cinema. So like I was like, ooh, I could like this was the perfect opportunity to to get something that's like actually like unique and different, that like, you know, basically nobody has this except for me, because I commissioned Don to do it. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, Don, like there's not that many slots open because you actually close up the slots. So for now, there might not be opportunities to buy these, right? and Don said it's $15 for it for the custom decoration. I'm gonna put it away in the case now because, like I said, I don't want to smudge it. Yeah, I actually first learned about this from Don's commission because I didn't know what the K-pop deco cards are because I'm not like I actually don't have many friends like really into K-pop, so I'm not exposed to like the fandom in any way. So like I didn't really know what it was.
That's a good thing there.
What do you mean? There's somebody at work that has like a bunch of like BTS stuff all around, and I've been meaning to ask them like, hey, like what's up with BTS? What is that? Some sort of music thing? I know what BTS is, but they're like the only person in my day-to-day life that I like is like outwardly like into K-pop. So yeah, I learned about that. It's like, hey, let me actually just use this and to my advantage and create something Hong Kong related. Teenage girls love to decorate photo cards of their fave boys. This is one of my fave boys. So thank you very much. Very cool.
That's very cool.
I don't know if okay, yeah. On camera, there's a wall right next to my desktop. I plan on putting a cork board on there. That's where I'm gonna put most of my like doodads. Just to decorate because I don't know if you could if you're watching the stream you can see my room. It's like actually very Spartan in here. You can't see the left side of my room right now, but like there's nothing on the walls and stuff. So I'm gonna try and have a room that looks less like a psychopath lives here. You know what I'm saying? It's just like like a dirty mattress in the corner and a super high tech gaming PC on the other corner. It's like who the hell lives here? It's like I'm gonna try to have a room that actually kind of reflects the person that lives there. The room is gonna reflect me a little bit.
Did you ask Don to be in our chat because you were gonna reveal this?
No, complete coincidence.
Okay.
Very, very happy Don had the opportunity to show up. So it's very cool. Right,
Very,
Don?
very nice.
I didn't ask you to be here, right, Don?
Darfox slyly passes, or like Don slyly passes a $20 bill to Darfox.
Yeah, she was home for once.
Yeah. That's very, very cool. Always nice to do a little show and tell. If audio listeners to the podcast want to check it out, make sure you go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/MangaMacTV.
Oh, actually, one last thing. This is a confession of me just being a total dummy. I'm not going to show the envelope in which it came in because obviously it has my address on it. But I was about to throw away the envelope, and then I felt something in it. I was like, wait a second, and there was like a really nice thank you card on there, and also like a piece of candy that I already ate. And I almost threw it away because I'm an idiot, I guess. Because I just like, it was like, deco card! And I just took it out and I was like really happy with it. And I just like threw the envelope to my side. So, but I'm glad I felt it and I didn't throw that away because it was very, very nice. Thank you for the care.
Breaking news, everybody. There are dueling CM Punk and Colt Cabana chants happening at the Collision recording.
Colt Cabana, that is funny, sad.
He's the other Chicago wrestler I know of on
Yep.
Okay, I actually find that funny. Like, I actually think that's the best outcome than just that sounds like the crowd is having fun with this really bad situation, I don't know. Whatever. Like I said, hopefully nothing weird or stupid happens where like somebody gets in a fist fight in the audience over this stupid shit.
All right, Dar, let's move along.
Yes, there's one big thing that we both experienced this week that we want to talk about.
Oh, we're talking about this. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't have anything else to talk about.
Okay, yeah, let's
You see it scrolling above my head right now.
Yep.
Netflix live action One Piece show.
Yeah, the live action One Piece show came out this week. It was made by Tomorrow Studios, same place that made the live action Cowboy Bebop. Dar, you and I and our friend Lightning Bolt, we watched 3 episodes. I get 4. I forget.
I think it was 4. No, it might have just been 3. They're hour-long episodes, so they kind of go for a while. They kind of they have a lot of content in them. A lot of stuff happens.
It's 8 episodes total. It covers all of East Blue, basically up to the end of Arlen Park. So it's quite a lot of stuff in 8 episodes. Dar, you watched some of the anime? You read the manga? I forget.
I watched a lot of the. I basically seen the anime up to Arlong Park. I've seen a little bit after Arlong Park. Then I've seen a couple episodes here and there. I never attempted to read the manga. And I've talked to you about it for years.
Right.
So I've gotten a lot of spoilers and just cultural osmosis details. Thanks to you. I know some my friend Amber, she's a really big One Piece fan. She's like massively into One Piece, so like sometimes I talk to her about One Piece occasionally.
Are you planning on recording some kind of content for our YouTube channel?
Yes,
with Amber.
Yes, we definitely are.
Okay, we're gonna avoid some of the more spoiler stuff for a little bit. We can talk about some general stuff first, and then I finished all 8 episodes, so I will be getting into some spoiler stuff. We'll put a thing up on the screen, make sure like people randomly coming in know that it is full spoilers. And I'll give a warning, and it'll be in the timestamps too for our show notes. So if people want to skip over that part, that's fine. Dar, what do you think about the show after seeing 3 episodes?
Pretty positive on it. I think that it's a pretty entertaining show, and I think it's I think it'll work really well for normies, what people sometimes derisively call like non-anime fans, non-weeaboo, non-otaku. Kind of think your mom, think your dad. I think your mom and dad could definitely watch this show and have fun with it and enjoy it. I think that's kind of like the best case scenario, and I think that's what they really wanted. I have a couple issues with it, especially with the tone. We were all surprised when like characters were getting cut in half, and there was a bunch of like blood spray and just like visceral gore, and I was like, "What the like? Where did this come? Where did this come from?" Like, there's a couple moments in those 3 episodes where it just got really like rated R for some reason. And the weird thing about just to jump straight to my criticisms of it, the weird things about it is that like it has like a really serious tone sometimes, but it still has the One Piece wackiness. So there's that really the juxtaposition between the dark stuff and the light stuff is even more stark than it is in the anime. Because in the anime has like almost pastel like colors. It has like really light and nice colors, a lot of light blues, a lot of nice greens. Where it all looks kind of dark. Looks kind of like serious and gritty, and the characters are done right. I think they really nail Luffy. They really nail like pretty much all the characters. I really like all the performances. So like that stuff works, but like some of the stuff surrounding them just doesn't vibe as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna agree with you because the production is really nice. It's similar to the Cowboy Bebop show. Actually, in general, it was way closer to the Cowboy Bebop show than I originally thought. Like, the production is nice, the sets look very nice, they spend a lot of money. All the costuming and everything is pretty accurate to the manga and anime, which further makes it a weird juxtaposition, like you're mentioning. You have really wacky, interesting looking characters, like they do Arlong very well with the makeup and all these other things, like all these other characters that like they look goofy and wacky because they're from a manga and a cartoon. And yet they recreated those looks in real life. But like you have these wacky looking characters and then the serious tone. It's like that's just like the funny part. And the music's like really like dramatic and like Pirates of the Caribbean like.
Yeah, and those are the bits that like I wish was a little bit different because again, they probably did it that way because that is what most general audiences think of when they think of pirate shows, stuff like Pirate of the Caribbean and those kind of melodies and kind of, I don't know, action music, whatever. But like,
Big dramatic swells and stuff like that.
yeah, I had a thought when we were watching the credits for like the second or third episode, where the credit music was just super generic. I'm like, do you remember the first ED for the first ending for One Piece? It's like it's really catchy.
Yep.
And it's just like I like all of that kind of like they did a good job of translating the anime, but they didn't do a good job of translating the je ne sais quoi of watching anime. Which maybe they didn't want to do that. Maybe they didn't care to do that, which is fine. Like they did a job if that's the case. But like the the J-pop music and like the orchestral scores, the different themes for different characters, the lighthearted ones, and the kind of music you keep hearing over and over again, that kind of becomes a big. When you watch an anime series, the music becomes a big identity of the anime series. You keep hearing the songs, same songs over and over again, and hopefully they're good songs and it's a good show and it's catchy. Um, this show doesn't do that because every kind of song in this show is like generic score music where like I can't pick out one theme from another one. Like it all runs together. It's all just like,
Yeah.
generic score stuff.
Later on, there is a orchestral version of We Are that happens.
I've actually heard it. Yeah, I saw it posted on the internet, and that's nice. I think that's like the bare minimum they had to do was get We Are in there in some way. I think it kind of sucks that it's a orchestral version, and not like a nice pop rock theme, But whatever.
We talked about this show last week, and like I said, I thought they were going to play it safe. And what I meant by that, I thought they were going to stick very closely to the source material. And you said playing safe was, no, they're going to make it more for mainstream audiences. And I feel like they went more with your, safe choice than what I thought.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it still works, though, overall. They don't stray too far from, like, the original narrative and the story beats. There's definitely a lot of changes, obviously, because they're working with time constraints. They want to make it. They do a couple things to make it more of an overarching story in the season. I'll get into specifics when we get to our spoiler talk. But in general, they follow what they want, and I feel like people are more acceptive. Like, from what I've seen, like you said, people seem to like this live action One Piece a lot more. And they much more of a positive reaction, right? Compared to like the live action Cowboy Bebop, with everyone hated.
Yeah. Well, the Cowboy Bebop reaction was like unnecessarily negative. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think it was
I
a good
get it.
show. I don't think it was a good show, but I think it had a lot of positives in it. But people were just like, "Oh, it's trash. This is trash. It's trash. It's trash." Whereas this is having a very generous reaction.
It's funny too because there's so many similarities between this production and the last one.
Yes,
But
they're very. I agree 100%. They're very similar productions. The way it looks, the way it's shot,
the way they structure the storylines a little
yes.
bit, very similar to the Cowboy Bebop one.
I think it just comes down to that One Piece is more malleable, or it's more it works better to like bend it to this kind of story than
Yes.
Cowboy Bebop.
Yes. They definitely fucked some things up with the Cowboy Bebop. Specifically, like we were talking about with the Cowboy Bebop show, like they would jam certain like famous Yoko Kanno music parts in like random parts that didn't like make any sense. Remember the scene with like the famous shootout in the church, and they redid that music thing?
I hate that scene so much.
Yeah, or like just like over the top things with the Mad Piero being like, they call him a Mad Piero. I was like, dude.
It's like they wanted to have their cake and eat it too with the Cowboy Bebop.
They're trying to be like, yo, this is for the fans, and the fans were like, dude, you don't. You butchered it, and that made it worse for the fans. I feel like the fans will be more forgiving for like the changes they made here in One Piece.
Because the changes you're talking about specifically is that they really want to do that long form storyline where you get bits and pieces of the villains and the backstory and kind of the goals of the characters as you go on. And that really didn't work in Cowboy Bebop. That broke Cowboy Bebop in half.
You were saying you kind of didn't like it here in One Piece, and I think we need to start getting into spoilers. So I think this is the time now, Dark Fox, for you to get that up on the screen. Is that okay?
Yeah, I was just gonna have to figure out how I did it originally. Surely I didn't delete something that I needed. Let me see.
While Dark Fox does that, I will mention one more thing. I took a look at the Japanese dub for this, because the Japanese dub is done by the Anime Cast, and it's weird. It's kind of weird. I feel like Mayumi Tanaka, who plays Luffy, also the voice of Krillin from Dragon Ball Z.
Yep.
She's done a lot of voice acting, but she was pitching her voice down a lot, I think. So
that is weird.
And also, like, it was very, you could tell they were dubbing, right? Like, they were trying to fit in Japanese words to match like the lip flap of the actors, and so that made it like very disjointed, which isn't like how you would be delivering some of these like lines in Japanese. So that was very strange. But I bet the fans will get a kick out of that. Okay. Darfox has the spoilers up on our screen. This is the point in the podcast, if you don't want to be spoiled on the Netflix show, where I'm going to get into very specifics, you can skip ahead. Please use the timestamps. If you're watching live, you might want to mute and maybe bring your audio back when the spoiler sign goes down. Okay? So, Dar, the biggest thing that is different about what they do narratively in this One Piece show is the Garp stuff. Garp, who is Luffy's grandfather, isn't supposed to show up till like way later in the story.
What? Spoilers!
That's why the spoiler thing is up. And they keep cutting back to... They introduce him very early. Like, he's there at the execution of Gold Roger at the very beginning. And then they bring him in, and they keep cutting back to him with Kobe and Helmeppo. And he's like just there scheming. He's like, we need to capture the Straw Hats. We need to capture Luffy. And midway through, Luffy is like, oh no, it's Grandpa. And the other crew are like, what? Your grandpa is Vice Admiral Garp? And so that's all there. And like, that's like the overarching plot that they wanted to have for like, the other storyline, right? For the villains or the antagonist of this series. It's another choice with One Piece, because normally in One Piece, you have your adventurer, you have a villain, you defeat him, you move on. That person doesn't show up. But even after like the first episode, we were seeing like Kobe come back up, even though he's not supposed to come up till way later. After they defeat Buggy, he comes up in the next episode as well. Like, they keep cutting back to new villains, or like, kind of teasing new villains. Like, some of the fishmen show up earlier than noted. And it's like, in general, I thought the characterization of Garp was strange, because he was like very obsessed about like, I gotta capture the Straw Hats, I gotta capture my grandson and force him to become a Marine. And that whole thing ends at the end of the first season, where like he has a fight with Luffy after they defeat Arlong. And Luffy loses, but doesn't bend his will. And then Garp is like, I just needed to make sure that you knew what you wanted. And Luffy's like, it was a test? And I was like, bruh, what? Like, it didn't really work with what Garp's character was to begin with, when he started showing up and he was like, I gotta get Luffy. And he's telling all these lessons, trying to teach these lessons to like Kobe and Helmeppo about like being a Marine and, not just following orders and being true to yourself. But it's like a very roundabout way, and that reveal at the end is like, I just wanted to test my grandson. Now I'm gonna let him go. It feel a little forced. So we have things like that.
And doesn't that kind of undercut the Arlong battle, anyways? Like to have another battle at the end of the Arlong battle,
Yeah,
because
a
the Arlong
little
battle
bit.
is pretty epic. It ends, and in the anime, it ends in a really epic way.
I mean, in general, they had to condense all of that, right? So they do the face off where Usopp has his one battle with Chu, and then Sanji fights that one guy, but like they don't have the crisis where Luffy gets thrown into the ocean with like cement on his feet and he's drowning, like because that's all stretched out for like the manga, so they condense it. That never happens. It immediately goes to Luffy and Nami, and Luffy fights inside the room where Nami was confined, and they I think they rightly skipped certain characters because the octopus fishman, that's hard to do. So they were like, we're just not going to include that character, and they did this for a lot of things, like when they did the Baratier part with where they meet Sanji at the restaurant. There's no invasion of Don Krieg. He does show up, but he's immediately killed by Mihawk. So that was something. I mean, they kill off a lot more characters because, and that's kind of the thing about One Piece is Luffy beats characters, but doesn't necessarily, he defeats them, right? But he doesn't kill them, and that's how like they end up showing up later. But in this TV show, they just kill off characters. They killed off Mary during the Usopp Syrup Village arc. Like, that's nuts. Like, they just fucking murked that guy. The guy who looks like a sheep.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I was very shocked at that. Or, you know, like you mentioned, kind of in our non-spoiler section, when Zoro in the first episode, he just chops Mr. 7 in half. Mr. 7 is a minor character in Baroque works, so it kind of makes sense, but like, oh, it's just really funny. Just all these things. That kind of leads me to my other thing about this One Piece Netflix show is I thought it was unintentionally hilarious because of the limitations that they have because this is a live action show. Let me try to explain. Because it's a live action show, you can do certain things and some things are very hard to do and reproduce, right? We were talking about how it was very violent in that first episode, like that guy getting chopped in half, and we're like, whoa, what the hell? Or like Alvida bashes someone's brain is in that first episode, and there's like a bloody blood spot on like the deck. I was watching the first episode with my wife, and she was like, whoa, somebody put some goo down for that. I was like, yep. So, thinking back on the actual manga, there actually is like a decent amount of violence and blood. But they removed a lot of that. I think because they want to keep it more in the realistic realm. Like in the fight where Luffy, Zoro, and Nami go up against Buggy the Clown. At a certain point in that story, Zoro gets stabbed through the stomach. And then like the entire thing is like even with a stabbed stomach, he still fights really good and he wins. But you know, he gets injured. Same thing at the Battle of Baratier and other places. Like, people are getting injured, blood is flowing. There's not that much blood. So, there's a point where Zoro challenges Mihawk, who is like the strongest swordsman in the world. It's a very famous scene. Happens at the Baratier when they meet Sanji. They do this fight, Zoro loses, and then Mihawk, you know, admires him as a swordsman and doesn't want to have him die, but still slashes him. Zoro gets slashed in the chest and he falls on his back, right? And everyone rushes to him and they're all like, oh my god, you've lost so much blood! There's so much blood! There's no blood on screen. There's no blood on screen. There's just a little... There's a slash mark against his chest, which is a little bloody, but there's no blood. And then later they bring him into their ship and Chef Zed is there to like heal them, and they're like, oh, he's losing so much blood, and there's no blood. Like, it felt like a 4Kids censorship of One Piece. You know how like the 4Kids version of One Piece anime, they took away Sanji's like cigarette and made it into a lollipop and stuff like that?
Yeah.
like a weird like cleansing of some of the violence just to make it more, kid friendly, I guess. But at the same time, in the first chapter, that first episode, they slash that person in half and there's blood.
Yeah,
Like it's weird.
yeah,
That
it's
part's
pretty
weird.
violent.
Yeah. So again, weird juxtaposition on what they're trying to go for their tone. But man, I was laughing so hard during that Zoro part, and I know that was not supposed to be funny, but that was literally the funniest part. I guess that's another thing we could talk about real quick is like One Piece in general is very wacky and full of comedy, and they cut most of that out. It was not like hilariously silly. I think people are gonna get like a whiplash if they go from this Netflix show to the anime. They're gonna be like, "Wow, this is silly," because that's kind of what One Piece is. So
Yeah.
it's funny. What else was really funny? Okay, so this is I already mentioned how there's an octopus fishman and they totally cut him out because it's probably hard to, create that character and animate him. Don't you think they did a pretty good job with Luffy and his like rubber stuff, his gum stuff?
Yeah.
Special
Yeah.
effects. They look good.
That looks good. Sometimes it looks weird, but that effect was going to look weird.
I think they're very smartly limited, so he doesn't use it that much. Both for maybe budgetary reasons and, to keep things, again, more grounded. Oh wait, I have a side note about this. So Luffy says gum when he does his moves, right? Gum pistol. What do you think of that?
I don't know. Isn't that accurate?
It's accurate, but like, do you think it was silly or okay or?
Yeah, it's silly. It's. I mean, I think it works okay.
It's funny because Zoro, who also has a bunch of like special moves, he doesn't say any of them. He does do like his 3,000 worlds against Mihawk. You see the move, but he doesn't say it. And it's funny, like other characters say it, like Buggy does his chop cannon, or when Sanji finally joins, he does a Muton shot. And even Usopp during his battle against Chu, he says, "Special attack, exploding star." And so like it comes up kind of inconsistently. It's like they want to cut down how much times it happens, but I don't know. They still do it. I think it's kind of interesting. They're like, Zoro's a serious character. We can't have him saying his moves or whatever. What was I originally going to say? Oh yeah, the realism part. So, you know how One Piece is all about flashbacks to all the main characters, and they all have like a sad, tragic background.
Yeah.
There's a lot of man crying in that, or children crying and sobbing. They cut in general, they cut out a lot of male characters sobbing and crying and stuff like that.
Interesting.
They do get some emotion. Like you do get a pretty decent Nami scene at Arlong Park, that famous scene.
She's a girl. Girls get emotional.
Yeah, like she's the girl, right? So there's
That-
not that much. Like there should be more kid crying in those flashbacks too, and like that's not there. But the funniest flashback was Sanji. So Sanji's backstory is he was on a ship, and the ship gets attacked by Zeph. The ship gets shipwrecked, and then Zeph and Sanji are stranded on an island that they can't get off of, and they have to survive there for like 70 days or something. And yeah, so they got this kid actor, very cute, but the kid actor was, a little bit like, I'd say he's a little chubby. Very cute though, very good, nice kid actor. But I was thinking, oh, are they gonna do like he's been, stranded for like 70 days? Is he gonna lose weight or something? No. He's been there for 50 days, Dark Fox, and he looked exactly the same, except like more disheveled. So
he's been eating crabs and stuff, man.
I mean, it's hard to do like that, transformation, right? Unless like you're having an actor commit to like a horrible like diet or whatever, or I don't know. It was
the constraints of live action.
Yeah. That's what I felt. There are some constraints of live action in the show that like don't match the extremes you find in like manga and anime. They're harder to do, so they're limited by that. But I mean, in general, the production, like I already mentioned, is very nice in this show. They changed around some characters. Some characters that were male were female, stuff like that. But in general, I thought it was like I liked all the casting, like you mentioned, right? They all did a really good job. The guy who did Zoro in particular was very good. I will say, my wife watched that first episode and she was like, bad wigs. Which my wife tends to do, which I really enjoy. She was like, Nami's wig is really bad. Luffy's wig is pretty good because it can be, very messy. Zoro's wig is excellent. That's a good wig. I was like, nice. Okay, some decent wigs in here.
Interesting how the same show ran the gamut. Usually when she points out a bad wig, the whole show has bad wigs.
I know. There were still some bad wigs. The funniest thing that my wife wanted to point out was in that first episode, you know how they're fighting against Captain Morgan at the Marine base?
Yep.
So, do you remember in that episode, they're inside the Marine base and there's a bunch of portraits of like Helmeppo and like Captain Morgan and the statue and all that stuff?
Yeah.
They're very accurate. But when they do the big fight with Captain Morgan outside, like in the yard, there's a giant like painting of Captain Morgan along like the side of the building. And my wife was like, hold up. That doesn't look like the actor at all. Those eyebrows are totally wrong. And I started laughing. She was right. She was very right. And then like we got in a discussion about like how did it happen? Like why didn't it match the actor? It was like, well, maybe like it was handled by somebody else, or they just wanted to get the big characteristics down, like that big iron jaw, just to get the look across. So I just thought it was a funny point that my wife pointed out.
Don brought up something very interesting in the chat. Apparently, the actor that played Kobe was a trans actor. I had no idea.
I had no idea as well.
Kobe it's a pretty bright spot in this show. I think they did Kobe really well. But I just didn't like them going back and forth. Like they would have a plot a plot mechanic where Kobe and Garp would be playing Go, and it was kind of to demonstrate that Kobe was adept at like learning strategies, and Kobe had some skills, right?
Had to be aggressive.
Yeah. But like, I would have liked it better if they just had the scene of Garp and Kobe playing Go, and then Kobe gets better, and then that's the end of the scene. But instead, the whole episode they came back and forth between like them playing Go and them to like what the Straw Hats were doing, and I've kind of grown to despise that structure of television, where it's just like the A plot and the B plot, and they're both elongated artificially, as opposed to just appearing when it feels more natural, and closing out the scene when it feels natural, as opposed to just like, well, we're just gonna stop this right now, even though nothing's really happened in the scene yet. We're gonna come back to the rest of the scene later. And I'm sure that kind of stuff doesn't really bother a lot of people, but it bothered me.
You also didn't like how they were doing Luffy's backstory, and
Yes.
they spread it across the first two episodes.
Yes, Luffy's backstory, it's pretty simple, right? Like, there's not a lot to it. It's good. I like his backstory, and the stuff that happens between him and Shanks is, it's obviously core memory for Luffy, right? It's a really important thing to him. Damn, they could have taken 20-30 minutes of one episode and done it all, as opposed to just give you 5 minutes like here and there and spread it across 2 episodes. That's the stuff that I feel like it's a cliche of modern television, and it just it feels artificial. In my opinion, I think a lot of people don't care. They watch it and they find it entertaining and engrossing all the same. But to me, I feel like it belittles the scene when they kind of cut scenes in half. So, depending on who you are, it might be nitpicking, but to me, it annoys me. I just feel like it would have been a better show.
Oh my god, you're gonna be so annoyed with episode 4. When Usopp, Kaya, and Nami are escaping from Captain Kuro, and like it keeps cutting back to a different plot away from them when it could easily, they stretch that out.
Yeah.
It's funny. What are some major changes? Like obviously Mary dying is a major change, but it's kind of a horrible fate for Kaya, poor Kaya, but oh, you haven't seen this, so I feel bad spoiling this for you, but Kaya and Usopp share a kiss before Usopp leaves?
Kaya dies.
No, Kaya doesn't die.
Okay. I
But-
thought you said that they're gonna share a kiss and then Kaya gets cut in half or something.
No.
Because that would be like
No.
hardcore modern television. Like, oh no, the blood of my lover on my lips.
Well, in the manga and anime, like, it is clear that Kaya likes Usopp. Usopp likes her too, but like, it's not really. It's a hinted romance, and they in this show they're just like, no, they just kiss. We're gonna give the fans of like Usopp Kaya what they want.
Usopp x Kaya fans eating with the live action Netflix. It only took 50 years. Does Kaya show back up in the manga?
You keep cutting back to her whenever like there's a big event and they need a little interlude. They cut back to all like the older characters.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? In the flashback of Luffy, they show Makino. She's the person who runs the bar at the Windmill Village. She showed up and I was like, huh. I just realized that the way Eiichiro Oda draws women is so unrealistic that I had like a quick reaction to like this just regular lady actress playing, Makino, and I was like, that's so different. I was like, oh, that's right. It's not even close to realistic how like any of the female characters are drawn in One Piece. And it's I wonder what the fan reaction to Nami is, and the actress who played Nami as well.
You just noticed it says Don. Yeah.
Yep.
It's more that like seeing a real life woman, like an honest to God woman, have to portray these cartoon characters really brings it home.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
And it's oh man, like
that's the case with like most of them, like Arlong and the Fishmen too. Like they hired actors who are like bigger, but they're in general they're very more sleek. Or characters like Don Krieg, who only shows up for a cameo, gets cut down by Mihawk. I was like, that guy doesn't look as big as Don Krieg is supposed to look, and that's because Don Krieg looks like he looks crazy in like the cartoon and anime how big he is.
it's like, and this is a new commentary that people have probably pointed this out a lot, but Nami in the beginning of the anime, she looks very different to how she looks now in the manga. And you see the actor portraying Nami, and she's wearing kind of like the Nami costume, and she looks really good in it. It's like the is it blue stripes with a white t-shirt, blue stripes,
Yeah.
and shorts, right? That's like the Nami costume, right? She looks good, right? But like, man, I really just can't like the Nami costume later on becomes like tight jean pants and like a bikini top. I'm just like, is this actor just gonna be hanging around with a bikini top during all of the scenes? It's gonna be kind of nuts? Just like,
yeah, well, it's because like the Nami like from the beginning of the manga and anime doesn't look at all like she does after the time skip, and it's very obvious.
Like puberty hit her 18 times harder than like anybody else.
I'm pretty sure they still stuffed her bra for this live action though. Like that shirt was tight.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Well, I mean, they know, but like,
Yeah, so like again, that regular viewers of this One Piece show might think that's a little weird with all these like weird character costumes and like looks, trying to like have regular people play them. I think they did the best that they could, and in general, it looks pretty nice. It's just funny. Dar.
Are we in last thoughts territories?
I think so. Like, I was just surprised, I would say, that it was so close to, like, how they approached how this One Piece show was very close to how they approached the Cowboy Bebop show. But they
Yeah,
were maybe reined in by Eiichiro Oda being very involved in it. Make sure
it
it doesn't stray too much
it
or
just
whatever.
it just goes to show that they really chose the wrong project with Cowboy Bebop. Um,
I mean, I feel like they could have done it, but
they could have, but not with their method, not with the studio's like methodology of storytelling and pacing. It's completely wrong for Cowboy Bebop. It fits
yeah.
okay with One Piece. I think it's it's that's the funniest thing. If you would have told somebody like you go back 10 years and like they made a live action Cowboy Bebop show and a live action One Piece show, guess which one like really like captured the show? Like guess which one worked?
It's just
They probably guess Cowboy Bebop because it's so grounded and realistic a lot of times. But no, like that show, you know, it didn't come together in the way it could have. But the One
it's
Piece
the
show,
structure of the One Piece, like in general, like that story is a continuing story, so it was easier to make it into a continuing narrative. They tried to do a continuing narrative in Cowboy Bebop, and they failed because that show's episodic, and they didn't want to approach it that way, or they wanted to try and make that seasonal long storyline hook, and that made it very weird with the vicious and like Julia stuff. Oh boy.
oh, you mean Savage? Was that his name? Was it Savage? You don't want to talk about? Spike had like a code name. That explained like the vicious name.
Oh right. Oh god.
Well, I think it was Savage. I don't remember. All right, I'm dipping too far into my memory bank for that one.
I mean, I gotta
I'm
be
sorry about
honest.
that.
I think the Garp and like Kobe Helmeppo thing that ran throughout this was like I didn't really like it that much, but like it didn't mess with things too much, right? I think maybe that's the difference between
The
Cowboy
core
Bebop
of
and
the
One Piece.
story kept on marching with Cowboy, with One Piece. Whereas
Yeah, they even made like a few big changes. Like Nami is supposed to peace out during the Baratier restaurant arc, and this one she has a chance to, but she stays and watches Zoro fight Mihawk and lose, and then Arlong actually attacks the restaurant, and that's when like Arlong fights Luffy for the first time, and Luffy's about to die, and that's why Nami kind of like steps in and like betrays Luffy, but almost also to like save him from his fate. And then they head over to the do the Arlen Park stuff. But I think those changes, like they in general, they work. They're fine. Nothing here like straight enough to make people who are fans of One Piece throw their arms up and be like, "Fuck this shit." I guess that's the difference between Cowboy Bebop and One Piece. Star Fox.
yeah, this One Piece show is surprisingly faithful.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like it has like a soul to it. It does feel like it has like this a spirit to it that they it doesn't feel soulless and like they just wanted to make this to be a cash grab. I think the people involved with it really did want to make a good show that represented One Piece well.
I
I
mean,
think they succeeded for the most part.
yeah, like they had the Eiichiro Oda supervising, so I think that really helps. Someone stepping in, the original creator stepping in and be like, maybe don't do that. That's a little too far from like what it happens, because Shinichiro Watanabe was involved with that live action Cowboy Bebop at all. And
I always question that though when they say they have the creators involved. Like I never know whether the manga creators feel like they can't step on the toes of the filmmakers because it's not their place, or if they're just happy to be having an adaptation made and
I
maybe
think
happy to getting paid.
it
You know,
just depends on like depends on the individual, right? Eiichiro Oda is someone who helped like direct one of that One Piece anime movies as well, or a couple of them. So he's always very involved. And I know he personally made sure the actor who played Luffy got hired. So
Wow, think to each your own that we got Iñaki. I really like Iñaki.
I saw a thing on YouTube where Inaki visited Eiichiro Oda and they shot it. Well, obviously they blurred out Oda's face, but Oda was saying like when they were talking about doing a live action One Piece, his initial like worry was, are they gonna find anyone who can be Luffy? But when he like saw Inaki, he was like, oh shit, this can work.
There is Luffy.
He does a great job. My wife is like, he's very charming, and it's his eyes. He's very expressive with his like acting in his eyes.
And just like Luffy, sometimes when he gets like really crazy smiley, he kind of looks like a crazy person sometimes, but like in an endearing way.
It all works for like if that's what you want from One Piece. So yeah.
Don said that apparently he was on the set, gave notes,
Yeah,
which is very impressive that he actually was on set. At least sometimes, because that's, sometimes producers of TV shows don't even go on set.
I mean, they had the fortunate position of coming out after Cowboy Bebop, and they probably made adjustments after what happened with the Cowboy Bebop live action too. So yeah, there you go. The One Piece live action. Some weird parts.
The One Piece is real.
I hope they won't cancel this. I hope so. But it seems like it's getting positive, reaction. So
very positive reviews. It's certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, which you could say what you want on Rotten Tomatoes. It means a lot as far as public perception and like what. In the same way that Metacritic means a lot to like game developers and stuff like that. It's a success. People like it officially. It's surprising, but I'm happy for them. I want to watch the rest of it.
I was talking with someone and they were saying, what the fuck are they gonna do with this show when it gets to the really crazy shit? Like, it's like Gear 5? How are they gonna even do shit like that? Even Gear 3 seems like pretty wild, so
I think they will cross those bridges once they get there, because they got a long way to go.
They do.
It's a long trek from here to there.
Alright, but let's wrap up our One Piece talk. Well, we have been going for a while. I am going to quickly talk about a manga, because we are a manga podcast. We should at least talk about one manga. Dar, I'm going to send you a link.
Linky.
I will also link it over to Seamus. I want to talk about a new manga by Koji Mori. Darfox, you know Koji Mori.
Koji Mori, is he not the... No, who's Koji Mori?
He's done manga like Jisatsu. You might know that better under the name of
Suicide Island. Okay, yeah. I thought that was him, and then I turned the page and I saw the character design. I was like, okay, yeah.
Koji Mori has a new manga that he started a little while back called D-Diver. Another thing to know about Koji Mori is he is the manga artist who was best friends with Kentaro Miura, the creator of Berserk, who passed away. And he is the one who is kind of like helping finish Berserk. So I don't know how that's going. Like, I've seen those new chapters and they look okay, but I wonder how that's gonna go. But we've talked about Koji Mori's manga before. We really like Jisatsu, aka Suicide Island. And this new manga, D-Diver, is kind of interesting. It's about a young law student named Wataru Kagura. His parents, he lost his parents to crime, and so he's studying criminal law. He goes to see a trial, and the what's the term for the person under trial?
Plaintiff or
No, the plaintiffs is the people who are charging against suspects.
We know law.
Yeah,
Not a Horo Sensei right here.
I've not played Phoenix Wright in too long to fucking remember this.
Hold it.
Anyways, they're studying like a case, and like these law students go to see a trial, and after like seeing this perp and seeing how like they have zero remorse, Wataru gets a weird sensation in his body. That night he goes to sleep. He appears in that man's dreams and he sees the crime, and then he realizes that he's in a dream and he beats the shit out of that guy and he does this multiple nights in a row until the man is completely changed and then admits to his crimes. That's the plot of this manga, dude.
Okay, nice.
This man is Freddy Kruegering fucking criminals into confessing to their
The Freddy Krueger of justice.
Yes.
All right, I'm trying to kind of cut around the scenes of the crime this man committed because I don't want to broadcast it. So I'm going to go.
Oh,
on,
yeah, it's scenes of like assault and rape, and so it's bad stuff.
But here you can see him. I guess the fiery projection is him in his dream.
Yes.
So he's just beating his ass.
Yes. So
The Freddy Krueger of justice. That's amazing.
I know, right? So I'm kind of into this manga. It's Koji Mori has done manga about like telekinetic powers and that kind of stuff, and so he does decent jobs with like regular people suddenly coming into like special supernatural powers. And this one is for justice, and so it almost feels a little like Death Note in a way too. Like suddenly he has his powers to punish those criminals who are like beating the law. Get him to confess. Is he going to like fall to the dark side like Kira from Death Note? Will he have a conscience about this?
Depends what he considers a crime and who he deems worthy to attack in dreams.
Yeah. But yeah, this is the manga that I've been reading and wanted to talk about. So, Freddy Krueger of Justice, D-Diver by Koji Mori. It's pretty interesting.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Oh, okay. Don pointed it out. It's the defendant. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Yes. So yeah, Wataru dives into the dreams of these defendants and kind of figures out if they are truly guilty or not. And when he does, he beats them up in his dream to punish them, and like basically like psychologically torture them until they confess, I guess.
But physically beat them up, which is, I guess, that's psychological torture if it's in their dream, but he's just beating them up.
I mean, in this first chapter, he beats the guy up for a couple nights in a row, and then they show up to the trial again, and then the defendant he looks completely fucked up. You know, he has gray hair, sunken eyes, he's lost all this weight, and he confesses to everything.
As far as you've read, does he get any, like, Freddy Krueger style, like, powers to, like, taunt people or manifest things, or is he just physically in a dream to beat them up? Like, is it just...
He's physically in the dreams. He kind of like searching them as he witnesses the crime, kind of finds out their motivations because he can hear their thoughts as they're doing it. And then like the second case he does, he almost gets beat up in like return, so he has to kind of be careful. It's very new. It's only like 6 chapters in deep, so writing in Young Animal magazine. Don says he used to watch a lot of Law and Order, so there you go.
Haven't we all? Haven't we all sat on the television for too many hours, watched on TNT, while SVU just went on and on and on?
Yeah, there you go for my manga. I want to mention at least one manga on our manga podcast. Looking at what you've been reading here. Let's move along, and before we get to our main segment, I want to talk about next week. Next week is our 9-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Is it weird, Dar? Because now we did 7, 8, and now we're at 9. And now it's just kind of
7,
like
8, 9. Yeah.
I sure hope our podcast keeps going until 10 at this point.
Wait, well, that's kind of weird. Like, what are you expecting things to happen between now
Like
and a year from
opposed
now?
to having like feelings of yeah we did it. It's more like oh geez, I hope we last till 10. I'm more worried,
Yeah.
more anxiety and worry.
Yeah, we're running on fumes at this point. Yeah, so we'll see how far we get.
I wouldn't say we're running on
It's
fumes,
up to
but
the
yeah.
manga industry to stimulate us to want to read more.
Yeah.
It's a challenge
yeah.
to all you manga creators out there. Because y'all are listening to us, right?
Of course. Our 9-year anniversary, we're gonna do something big and special. Morgana will be back. We are going to do a retrospective redux. We're gonna revisit one of the retrospectives we've done, and this is very exciting. We teased this last week, but we're gonna talk about Pluto, the Naoki Urasawa adaptation of the Osamu Tezuka Astro Boy storyline, World's Strongest Robot. You know, Darfox, Manga Splaining just did an episode about this.
Oh no, we can't do Pluto. They did Pluto.
You know what's funny too?
What?
They're going to do an episode on Mirror's Edge.
We beat them on that one.
Which we did
We beat them
last
on that one. It's, okay. I guess, turnabout's fair play. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, we had this plan for a while now. We're going to be talking about all 8 volumes of Pluto. We actually have a special guest joining us.
Yes.
Aiden Clark, manga letterer. He is a huge Naoki Urasawa fan, listener to our podcast, and a fellow lover of Billy Bat.
Yes, literally the only person out there that likes Billy Bat besides us. There's nobody out there nobody's heard of Billy Bat. No, Billy Bat might not even exist. It just might be a figment of our imagination.
Next week we'll be talking to Aiden a little bit about manga lettering, but more importantly, we got to talk about Billy Bat. And then for our main segment, we will be talking about Naoki Urasawa and Osamu Tezuka's Pluto. And it's very exciting. Morgana said she's only read one Naoki Urasawa thing, that Mujirushi. Besides, she also said she read Master Keaton. So
yeah, Master Keaton is classic Naoki Urasawa.
But no Monster or 20th Century Boys, which is what Urasawa is most famous for.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will talk a lot about that. Seamus, are you excited to talk about Pluto again?
I am interested, having started rereading it.
Are you in a Japanese summer right now? Is that cicadas I heard in the background?
You can actually hear that. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear that. A nostalgic Japanese summer where Seamus sharps his knives as he gets ready to attack Naoki Urasawa's Pluto.
Having read the first 2 volumes, I'm like, oh boy. There are things about this that I'm rereading. I'm like, yep, I can definitely have a go at this, man. Yes, there's our cicadas, but I just have my windows open. I didn't think actually what was it?
Those
Mike would actually pick it up.
Those are legitimate Chicagoan cicadas. I thought you were having a laugh and putting on like a YouTube video of like 10 hours of cicada sounds or some shit like that.
They're cicadas. That's the one thing with it not being as humid. I can like open the windows again. It makes it easier to hear them. It was very weird. I didn't read I guess Morgana had said before, like they exist here, but I never like conceptually thought about it. When I was like, what the fuck is that weird sound? And then I was like, oh, they're fucking cicadas. All right. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. That was an unexpected benefit of moving to this country.
That's funny. I look forward to hearing Seamus's thoughts on his reread, Darfox's thoughts as well. Of course, talking to Aiden Clark about this, and also listening to Morgana. It'll be our first time reading Pluto, so it'll be very exciting next week. And we do plan on streaming this on our YouTube around same time, 7 p.m. So hopefully you'll all join us for our 9-year anniversary next week. Okay, we're going to take the stream down for just a little bit, stretch our legs, and when we come back, we'll be getting into Belle! Okay, everybody, we are back. It's time to do our main segment, a manga in motion on Belle, or the Japanese title, Ryu to Sobakatsu no Hime. It is a movie directed and written by Mamoru Hosoda, who's known for things like The Girl Who Left Through Time, Wolf Children, Summer Wars, Boy and the Beast. We've talked about his movies a lot on this podcast. And, we needed something to do this week, so we decided to watch Belle, which came out in 2021. It premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, released in Japan in July of 2021. Nationwide, can't speak. North American nationwide release in January of 2022. Dark Fox, you saw it when it came out in theaters. Like you mentioned, we have a video of that on our YouTube channel. Excuse me. I had a nectarine in between during our break, so I was burping. But yeah, let's see. Let me read a little synopsis of this over on the website for GKids. From the celebrated Academy Award nominated director Mamoru Hosoda and Studio Chizu, creators of Mirai, Wolf Children, Summer Wars, and more, comes a fantastical, heartfelt story of growing up in the age of social media. Suzu is a shy, everyday high school student living in a rural village. For years, she has only been a shadow of herself. But when she enters You, a massive virtual world, she escapes into her online persona as Belle, a gorgeous and globally beloved singer. One day, her concert is interrupted by a monstrous creature chased by vigilantes. As their hunt escalates, Suzu embarks on an emotional and epic quest to uncover the identity of this mysterious beast and to discover her true self in a world where you can be anyone. Well, there you go. I will mention that, Dar, we watched this on HBO?
Yep, or Max is what the streaming service called, but it's
Right.
essentially the Warner Brothers HBO umbrella streaming service.
Yeah, Seamus, Starfox, and I watched this together on Max. We had a little watch party. We watched the dub because they only had the dub.
Yeah, that was a jump scare. When he started the movie, and it was like, "Welcome to whatever the name of the You. Welcome to You." And I'm like, "Oops, I gotta turn on the dub." And I went to the settings, and there was no Japanese setting for it, so we watched the dub.
We watched the dub,
which is okay. It's just, if you don't, if you're not used to dubs, or if you don't like dubs, it's not going to be an enjoyable experience compared to like watching in Japanese with English subtitles. I saw it in Japanese originally when it was in theaters. It was in Japanese with subs, so I guess I have the context of both.
You got to hear the original singing.
Yes. I guess that's one thing about this movie, is that it's not really a musical, but it's a singing movie. It's a movie about singing. So there's 3 or 4 songs in the movie, and the movie just dedicates time to just, hey, you're just gonna sit here and listen to this 4-minute pop song. Please enjoy. And boy, did we enjoy it, right fellas?
Seamus?
It kind of had me up until final song, and I was like, I'm done with this movie. Then, I don't know, kept going for however long more, kept going.
Yeah, can we talk about that? It's kind of weird to skip to the end. But like I mentioned in the synopsis, Suzu she makes an avatar in this virtual world, She lost her mother to an accident when she was young, and she stopped singing. She's afraid to sing in public. In this virtual world, she can hide behind her avatar, Belle, and sing, and people love her. She basically has to dox herself at the end to save the beast.
Yeah, at the very least, a face reveal herself, like show what she really looks like to connect with the beast, because this movie is a play off Beauty and the Beast, where Belle is Belle, the main character. Um, and there's this mysterious user in the world of you, this online world, who's like doing cyber crimes, but not really. He's just, I guess, he's just being a jerk online. So like the internet police are after him. And then she gets involved with him because she's like, "Who's this mysterious guy?" Um, Turns out, again, we're jumping to the very end of the film. Turns out, the Beast, the movie teases a bunch of different people that the Beast could be. It could be like this artist that's like kind of brooding and weird. It could be like this woman that has like this fake life online where she posts stock photos and presents it to grandchildren, blah blah blah.
Could be a baseball player.
It could be a baseball player who has this mysteriously never shows his body. People suspect that maybe that's the Beast. Turns out the Beast was just like some kid who had an abusive dad, and the dad would beat his brother, or start threatening to beat his brother, and then the kid would basically shield the brother. And it's kind of vague whether he's physically beating him. The one scene we saw it, he didn't physically beat him. He verbally just screamed at him and he started throwing stuff. And that was kind of like portrayed as like the abuse on the kid's body. That reflects in the U world, because the U avatar kind of like types into your psyche somehow, and it creates an avatar based on what your psyche's like. So she tries to reach out to the boy who's getting abused, and he says, "Hey, tell me where you are. We'll come get you. We'll come help you." And he has a really visceral reaction, saying, "Why should I trust you? I don't know who you are." People always say they'll help me, but nothing ever happens. So that's why she kind of has to, the way the movie kind of portrays it, she has to kind of take that leap and perform without her avatar. It was just like her human self, so that the Beast can know that she's actually genuine. Because when she first contacts him, he doesn't really believe that she's Belle, because imagine like you have a relationship with your mutuals online, and then some stranger comes up to you and like claims that they're the mutuals. You're like, "Who are you? I don't know who you are." And then they sing on your Twitter account and prove that they're your mutual or something. The real kind of catharsis of the scene is supposed to be Belle kind of understanding why her mother did what she did, because her mother jumped into a river to help a kid who was going to drown. She saved the kid, but she ended up drowning. So Belle had these like intense abandonment issues about like her mother basically choosing a kid over her, and kind of like killing herself, quote unquote, for nothing. But then kind of her self-sacrifice to sing in front of everybody kind of like makes her realize a little bit of why the mother did that for a stranger. Because sometimes when someone is in need, you do what you have to do, and it's like, even if you put yourself in danger, it's that kind of mentality. And that was kind of like the catharsis and the wrap up of that scene.
It was a big climatic moment.
Yeah. And the movie could have kind of ended there. It would have left the plot line about the abuse in the air, but everything except for the kids being in danger was wrapped up in that scene. Everything was wrapped up in that scene, except for like, are the kids okay? So then the movie has like a denouement.
Extra 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Suzu going to like save the kids.
Where they do some hardcore cyber stalking, and they like compare the photos in the background to like fucking like Google Maps, and they're like, oh, this is the building in this, they're in this district, we gotta go over there right now, we gotta get a train ticket. And they go to that district, and they find the kid, and they save the kid.
And that's the end.
That's the end. We skipped over literally the whole movie, but like that's how the movie ends. Y'all didn't like the extra bit at the end?
It just was. I know they had to do it because that's how they set up the story. But like the climax is the fact that she, reveals her face and performs and gets over that, and then, comes to the understanding about her mom. So it's kind of weird to then have another mini climax after that.
Yeah, it's like the emotional stuff is handled, but now we gotta get down to brass task and go beat up this abuser. They don't beat up the abuser, but
I will say it's a very Mamoru Hosoda thing where like a bunch of characters that were kind of interacting with Suzu all come together at the end, and they're just like without any discussion about what they need to do, they just like immediately like, we're gonna like team up and we're gonna like figure things out and we're just gonna do it.
He likes the well. There's a lot of things that Mamoru Hosoda does. We were talking about it when we were watching the film. He has a lot of repeating themes like the internet and worldwide communities.
Virtual world.
Yeah, worldwide communities all connected to the internet. Living double lives on the internet and in real life. And another theme that happens in his movies a lot is Donna's pointing out Summer Wars and Digimon, which are this movie is basically like the third in that trilogy. If you consider the Digimon movie and the Summer Wars like very similar movies, Belle is kind of like the third in that trilogy. But like he likes to have this like it's kind of saccharine. I mean, I really like it, but like this innate community. Like we are community, and no matter what, we will come together in this moment. It's like it's a hyper positive ideal. It happens in Digimon movie and Summer Wars where like all of the people, all the netizens, all the people on the internet get behind the person and they give him the account so that they can fight back against the virus, and it cuts across the whole entire world of everybody kind of working together, and people of all different walks of life and different nationalities kind of united in this one thing. And Summer Wars, it also happens with the family because Summer Wars is about like this kid going over to this girl's like huge family, like 20-30 people in this huge extended family. It happens in The Boy and the Beast where the beast lives in the beast world, and there's a bunch of different beasts, and they all come out to help the beast at the end when the boy's in trouble. It's always like this. It's never like a one-on-one thing. It's always like this big communal, like we're all in this together kind of thing. Very hopeful, maybe like overly saccharine, but I always enjoy those scenes in these movies personally.
Yeah, they're fine. Sorry, my push stock stopped working for a second.
Oh, you just was trying to make me squirmy.
That's not the case. There were some things in this movie that, like, I was just like, huh? They mostly have to do with, like, the vigilante squad. Like,
yeah, the internet police.
The internet police, like, my biggest question about this was, like, you have this virtual world, you. And the thing I kept bringing up was, are there no moderators or administrators or admin, or why does this one guy have a beam that doxes people? How did he has sponsors too? Like, yeah. How did this happen? How is this legal?
It's not really specified, but the idea is that I think that the people in charge of the internet world, the administrators, I guess, they're really hands off, but they occasionally grant people abilities or like help them out in something. So at some point they let this guy have a doxy ray where he shoots you with his ray and your avatar gets stripped and then you have the face review and everybody knows what you look like.
Like, there's that scene where the Gaston character Justin, is that his name from the Justices
Yes.
or whatever?
Yeah,
Justin is like, let me tell you how I have this power, and then he doesn't tell you why he has this power.
Yeah, I forget what he says.
He doesn't explain where it came from, just what it does and its purpose. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah, it is. That part is weird. It's like they didn't bother writing that bit. It's like they're like, it doesn't matter. Just go past it.
Or when Belle has her concert, which, by the way, her concert, she didn't sing at all, and she was like, "Thank you," and I was like, "What the fuck?"
I kind of wonder if in the Japanese version there was a song during that part because I don't remember that being like that where there's just music and
She's just like dancing and doing moves, and that's
posing,
fine.
and then it ends. So like, bye, thank you.
And she's like, "Thank you." And I was like, "What happened? There was no singing." But anyway, like the Beast. That's when you first see the Beast, and then Belle is just like, "But who is he? I gotta find out." And I was like, "That was cute. That was sudden." And that from that point on, Suzu is just like, "I need to find out who the Beast is," and that's how she ends up connecting with the Beast. But some of that motivation, I was just like, "That's out of the blue a little bit." It's fine, whatever. But
I generally feel this movie is pretty savvy as far as like the internet depiction. It's kind of broad, right? It doesn't get too specific, but in general, like the stuff they say about the internet, and I like the bit when Suzu's friend, who's kind of like the big geek girl, she's like a hacker girl, and she's when people say terminally online, they would this is the girl they mean, that she's just like way too involved with like internet clicks and stuff like that. She's just way too knowledgeable about all this stuff. Um, and like Suzu's kind of freaking out because when she starts to become famous as Belle on the online world, she hyper focuses on the criticisms that she hears because a lot of people were like saying, "Oh, she's just a show off. There's nothing special about her. I don't really like her composition." They would say, and then her friend says something like that's okay. That means you're actually popular. Like the only people who have 100% positive like reviews are really small niche people. But if you're actually popular and mainstream, you're gonna have like 50% people loving you and 50% people hating you, and that's how it works. And I thought that was like a like really kind of sobering and like accurate thing for this character to say. Um, and there's a couple things on there that's like that. There's a really funny bit where this we haven't even talked about like Belle's like love interest, which is like the popular kid at school, like the really handsome kid. At one point he kind of grabs her hand and he says, "Belle, is there something wrong? You need to like tell me if something wrong. Are you okay?" And people see him grab the hand, so they think that like Belle's making a move on him, or sorry, Suzu's making a move on this kid. Um, and they just start like doing very catty rumors about her, and it just like becomes like this really big overblown thing where they just like really say rude things about her. And it's portrayed like a strategy game
yes,
where
I did laugh at that part. Like it was like Civ 6 or something.
yeah, like all of these different like factions are all spreading this huge web of miscommunication and a huge game of telephone, and people just saying either what they think they heard or what they want to have heard, and they're just like really just like making a big mess of the situation. And her friend, she says, "Oh, I know how to defuse this. I gotta go to the it doesn't bother, like it won't matter if you try to explain this to one by one to each person. You gotta go to like the really critical rumor spreaders and like stop them." So it's like a very strategic breakdown of what it's like to stop like internet rumors amongst like a school. And I thought that was like very funny and well done. I think those bits are like kind of savvy as far as like the internet stuff goes.
I will tell you that there was one part that me and Seamus got very excited for. I think we both agree, Seamus, that it was the best part of the movie during the comedic confession scene between Ruka, the popular girl, and Kamishin, the kayak guy. Weren't you saying, Seamus, you want Mamoru Hosoda to do like a comedy movie or something because his comedic timing was very good?
Yes. I think that the further he gets away from drama, the better, because he handled it in the most mawkish and paint by numbers way.
I mean, that's kind of the thing, Dar. Like,
Well, I don't know. At least in this movie, I was thinking, like, Mirai, I thought was okay, or I liked, and I can't really remember back Summer Wars. I don't know, I have no real memories of Summer Wars or Wolf's Children, and I watched them.
but at least with this movie, Seamus, I agree. The dramatic stuff is kind of like, I don't know, I didn't really connect with it. Even the big I can't see that word. Climactic moment. Even the big moment at the end, I was kind of like,
I don't know, like Dario was saying, like, I feel like stuff where he was just like, this group of people and their teenagers seem like, that's a bit of like, because even the internet part of that worked. But all the youth stuff was like, this man is just stuck in the 90s, like, in terms of his idea of what the internet is. And it's like, this is like no connection to reality in any way, shape, or form. And throwing out concepts there that, like, I would say would end up with God knows what kind of lawsuits or like invasions of privacy with this whole new stuff.
are you talking about like the doxing stuff and like?
Well, no, like this whole thing that reads biometric data and like generates a personality based on what your psyche. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
What does that mean, Darfox?
It would make me skinny and beautiful. That's how I really am.
You
Well,
are
no,
beautiful.
it's meant to reflect what you truly are. Like, and then they bring up the physical stuff, and I was like, well, if I'm dying of AIDS, then what do I look like in you?
That's something you mentioned while we were watching, because they were saying like that connected to why the Beast looked like the Beast and why he was so strong, because his kid had the mental fortitude to, you know, stand up against his abusive dad, and maybe like all the bruises on his back represent physical abuse. But yeah.
I feel like one of those things where like there's like these old science fiction books from, I don't know, however many decades ago, and they take some idea that has since been proven to be like a load of shit. But you read it at the time, you're like, this is an interesting context for a science fiction book. And you wrote it at a time when, you know, people thought this might be real. This guy like made this movie like 30 years too late, 20 years too late. What we know of as the internet is and what it can be, or like the fact that the metaverse exists, and you look at that, you look at this, and you're like, what are you on about, lad? Like, you're in fantasy land here.
I mean, some of the stuff like the comments and the people quickly like changing opinions and that stuff, I think that's fairly modern.
Yeah, but like, but that's not the you stuff. That's more just like how the internet is now.
There is a duality to it, right? There is like, I'm gonna log in and I'm gonna be my virtual self in this virtual world, where people don't really use the internet that way. They very lazily look at their phone and comment on Twitter, or look what's trending, and or see what people are DMing them. They don't like it's time to check my feed, jack in, and then you're like in the internet world. It is a fantasy that's proven to be like unappealing in that way. It is a version.
That's the thing. Like, you could have just done this movie where it is just this small group. Like, I don't know, people still use Second Life, or like are those role playing servers, or all that stuff exists. But it's like, you know, it's a tiny community relative to like there's like 5 billion U accounts in a population. I don't know what's the world population, like 9 billion. It's like,
yeah, like over half the world, literally.
It's just straining believableness compared to like the smaller scale stuff, like that whole interaction between the three of them, or even stuff between him and his father, or the whole internet rumor stuff. I don't know, is it just like you're saying, that sense of community? Like, he has to go big with this stuff in terms of like number of people involved, in a way where you're like, yeah, but you're trying to comment on like a society of 5 billion people, so like you're literally going to fail unless you actually have an idea of how that would work like, and you don't. You just have this fantasy.
Mirai was like one of the smallest movies he made. Mirai was literally like,
that is true, yeah.
The kid,
4 characters,
the sister, his
the
parents, and a couple of his ancestors, like his grandfather, the dog. Yeah.
Most of them was the same. That was like a very small scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I like when he does the big scale stuff, but like he does seem to. I mean, he could settle for like because these themes work in a smaller scale, and you might argue that they work better. Um, but he's really enamored with that idea of everybody involved with this one thing, this one program, this one internet.
But I think that's where like it all collapses. Is like that works on a small scale because you've got a small group of people who have like I don't know, they're all family or they're all like kids in a school together. You try to scale that up to 5 billion people, you're just like, what do you want about? Like this is this makes no sense.
Half of them are all right anyways, and they're just like not interested in like saving a kid that's like in trouble. Like pull yourself by your bootstraps or some shit.
All right, we're beating around the bush, Dar.
Wait, what bush are we beating around?
Let's talk. Let's get into why the people are here.
Oh,
Why the people want to like hear a discussion about Belle.
what's going? I don't know.
We're gonna talk about the music.
Oh hell yeah! Let's talk about the music.
Dar Fox wanted me to watch this movie so he
Yeah.
could get my opinion about the songs and the music and everything.
Okay, update. Any first time listeners, Dagzu, to his credit, he went to music school. He's a music coach or singing coach, right?
I'm a voice teacher.
Voice teacher. Dagzu also is a huge music snob. Dagzu, I watch a lot of movies with Dagzu. Dagzu is one of my favorite people, and I love watching stuff with people.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I love watching movies or just YouTube shit like with people. It's very fun. Anytime people are singing, Dagzu cannot help himself and be like, "Oh, why is she doing that with her voice? Oh, why is this person singing this way? He doesn't know how to do that with his throat. Oh, he's and he just can't help but let me know that this so like it's a meme, but it's also true that anytime, like literally anytime I see anybody singing in any kind of media ever, I'm like, I wonder what Dagzu thinks about this.
And you have very much like sent me messages, be like, hey, what do you think about this? I'm like, Dar, do you really want my honest opinion about this?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have the impression that you won't like it, but I mean, it doesn't bother me if Dagzu doesn't like something I like. It's just like, I think it's interesting perspective. Dagzu has a professional perspective on it that I don't. And I think all the movie in this movie is just, a lot of the music in this movie is just swell. Some of it's really catchy. Some of it's a little less, just generic pop ballads or whatever. But Dagzu, I guess, lay down the law.
Wait a minute. Let's let Seamus weigh in first before I get into it, because I will go into it. Seamus, you said you liked the music from when we were watching the movie, especially like the first track, "Lie, Lie, Lie."
Yeah, well, I think it's just there's one particular part they played it like this because then it's in the whole song and I was like, it's in great. But there's like a third of the song that's nice that I like. Like I don't think it's like particularly good music, and I think this is the problem with stuff like this where like you're like this person is like really good at this particular thing, and then you listen, and you're like, yeah, but they don't seem all that good. You expect me to believe they are. So what are you doing? It's like this just sounds like I don't know, random ass like pop song. To be fair, I guess that stuff does get very popular.
Yes.
Like they're trying to make it like, oh, her emotions are so real and stuff. It's just producers are very good at like figuring out this kind of stuff is popular. So 10 people get into a room and like hammer their shit out of it to come up with a really good pop song, and then they like farm it out to a particular singer, and then it gets popular.
Seamus basically nailed it on the head, Dar Fox.
Seamus doesn't ascribe to the singer-songwriter romanticism.
Yeah, people are singer-songwriters, and some of them get popular. But like most, if you look at the top 10 most popular songs at any given moment, odds are like that's how they're made.
They are produced.
Yes, and like I'm not one of these people who is like, oh, it's no good because it's not authentic. I don't give a fuck about that. There's plenty of like pop music I like, and I'm like, yeah, it's just a really well-produced song. Like I don't give a shit really about authenticity. Maybe sometimes I don't know. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. I'm not like, oh, pop music is shit because it's not authentic.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like
It's not a break or break thing. It's just Something can be very manufactured and cynical, but could still be catchy and fine and fine to
But
listen to.
it's the manufactured stuff, you know, it's manufactured to be popular. Not this like person singing out their emotions. Oh, sometimes that does catch on.
Okay, so interesting. Don pointed out in chat that the English dub voice that it was Kylie McNeil. They did the acting for Suzu, and they also did the singing. They were a viral TikTok singer.
Interesting choice. I think they did a good job. It's an interesting choice to go. I mean, it's probably cheaper than going for a professional singer than going
I would say
for like a
probably
viral.
weirdly appropriate in terms of how she gets popular.
True. Yeah. Actually, mirroring life. Yeah.
Okay, so let me start. This movie starts with the big opening track. Belle is singing. It's called "You." She's going la 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 la. My initial reaction was not real big fan of this singer. And as the movie went on, I was basically like, yeah, I'm not a real big fan of this person and how they sing. That is my personal opinion, everybody. The songs are whatever. They're like Seamus said, they're a produced thing to be a pop song. And
the one problem is they're produced by people who are not good at making pop songs. You know, they did not get in like the Vivia people who the likes of, I don't know, fucking Rihanna or like Lady Gaga go out to get pop songs for.
Yes, they're definitely not at that caliber level. You can tell some production was done to make these, and they, you know, I'm looking at some of the information about this movie. They did like have artists working on production to like make the music. Some of it's sketchy. Most of it is pretty like okay. I don't think any of them are bad. My personal thing is just I was not a fan of the way Kylie McNeil sang. It was very breathy, pop singing, not legit singing, which I'm not a fan of.
Scratch my chin.
I mean,
I would defend in that I hope you are judging more purely on the performance pieces, because there are scenes in this movie that like, okay, this is a song. It basically becomes a music video. And less judging on the scenes where the character was emoting, like basically the actor was acting as they were trying to sing, but they couldn't, because those scenes they really couldn't. Like there was scenes when the character was trying to sing, but like their voice would leave them, and those scenes they were obviously breathy because they were like having a meltdown.
Yeah.
I just had to say that. I just
That's fine, Dar, but there are plenty of like ballads where like she's singing regularly, and it was some breathy bullshit and so much breathing, and I was just like, just not a fan of that kind of singing.
Someone was like oxygen.
I did go and listen to the Japanese version, and the Japanese version was done by Kaho Nakamura, who also played Suzu. Apparently, she is a singer-songwriter and voice actress, and I liked her rendition of "You." My wife and I listened to that track, the Japanese version, and we're like, it's fine. I will say, I put on the English version, and within 5 seconds, my wife was like, turn this off.
You two were made for each other.
Yes. I'm not a fan of not legit singing, so a lot of pop song is poppy, breathy singing, and I don't like that. Give me someone who can actually is doing singing. I don't consider pop, breathy singing legit because it's not.
And I think you know this, but like most of us don't know what you would mean by legit singing. What legit singing means.
I should explain that. Okay. So when I say legit singing, I mean classical singing, like opera, sing song. Also, I would count like gospel singing as legit singing. So there are like pop singers who I would consider legit singers. Seamus, remember when I was having you run down the AEW roster and we're talking about like true talkers and fake talkers, and it's kind of like that. So, example of a legit popular singer, Whitney Houston, legit singer, totally can sing. In that sense, I would say someone like Beyonce, legit singer, knows how to sing, can sing. Maybe not all her songs.
You were on thin ice, right? You were so close to just dying if you said Beyonce was not a legit singer. Let me tell you.
Yeah, so like I think that helps paint a picture. Like Aretha Franklin, legit singer. People who do popular singing that can actually sing, you know. I would even say like people like Amy Winehouse, legit singer. It's a certain type of like it's a way of singing. It doesn't require on like breathy pop stuff. That's the best way I can describe it, breathy. And there's nothing wrong with breathy pop. Like it's fine. It's just I don't like it.
Okay, fair. You're not a fucking ginormous monster. Not really. You just have preferences and professional ideas.
Yeah, I think it's a. I think if you're singing, you should actually sing on the breath and not off the breath. So, you know, breathy pop singing never sits well with me, and like this was a lot of breathy pop singing, especially in the English one that we saw. The Japanese one that I heard had a lot less of that, so I was more of a fan immediately. And there you go. That is my thoughts about the singing in this movie, Belle.
Wow. How will she ever recover?
She'll be fine.
She'll live.
Exactly.
She'll live with way more notoriety than we have. Whoa.
Yeah, I guess like in closing about the singing, like would if someone asked me about Belle, this movie, I'd be like, it's okay. Because there are some pop songs, it has a decent story. There's one really funny confession scene. And, you know, it's not a bad movie by any stretch, but
that scene, by the way, was funnier in Japanese.
Oh, but it was already so funny in English too.
Like I was like we were basically rolling in the movie theater during that scene, because that scene was set up by the previous scene when Suzu was like, "Oh, I'm rooting for you," and he's like, "Wait, you're rooting for me? Does that mean you like me?" And it was like, "No, you ruined it."
Right. Redoing that.
And then they did it this time again, but Ruka actually likes him. So when he said it this time, Ruka just freaks out, and then he's like, "Wait, really?" And then like Suzu's like, "Yep." Like that whole exchange just like was way more natural in Japanese, and it was really funny.
I thought in general like the dubbing was fine. Like I didn't notice so much about like any kind of awkward dubs. I mean, sometimes there's a little bit. Obviously, like none of the singing matched up. The singing was completely out of sync with whatever was happening with the Belle avatar. But at least the talking stuff, it seemed more or less natural. I think, Seamus, you made a mention about like the character voices or something, like the nerdy friend hero and her voice.
Yeah, like it felt to me like I don't know, was it the way the English stuff was done, but I was like just like watching like a children's cartoon. The way they sounded.
Maybe the way that they're doing the performance, or kind of like you can tell it's a cartoony performance.
To their credit, there's a lot of dialogue in this movie that's hard to perform. Like when she was standing up for you, she was like, "Oh well, I guess Belle, because Suzu means Belle, right?" And like that kind of like I'm kind of wishy washy, talking to myself, kind of mumbling to myself. That's like nobody talks like that that's really hard to perform naturally. Um, and that's the stuff that like feel like stands out in my opinion. Of
Yeah.
like this doesn't sound convincing or that great. And
Yeah, it's not natural like dialogue speaking. It's
I
the
did,
same thing I thought when I heard the Japanese dub of One Piece, when like Luffy is like talking in disjointed speaking, little by little, like that, like because they're trying to match the mouth movements too, right?
Yeah.
Like you always suffer with like overdubbing something from a different language, so I don't hold that against the film or the performances at all. But yeah, I feel like we're wrapping up with the Belle stuff. Unless Star Fox, we missed something you wanted to mention.
No, I think it's a pretty good movie. I like Mamoru Hosoda. I mentioned last night when we were watching the film. Um, I think Mamoru Hosoda is my favorite anime film guy. When you think about Makoto Shinkai, I like his movies, but not that much. Not like like other people like his movies. Um, there's Masaki Yuasa, which would always have a special place in my heart, but he doesn't make that many movies. And they're to his credit, all of his movies are really really different. But Mamoru Hosoda, like I kind of know what I'm getting when I go to Mamoru Hosoda film, and I really like him.
I mean, I would agree with that. I know people really like Makoto Shinkai movies, like Your Name, obviously, and Weathering with You.
Yeah,
The new one you watch, keep forgetting the name of that.
like it's like Suzume or something like that.
You're right.
I forget. I think that might be my favorite of his films. I think that's the best movie he's made, but I also don't remember what it's called.
I would personally put Mamoru Hosoda above Makoto Shinkai, but yeah, Masaki Yuasa is always going to be top for me. And this movie was fine. Belle is fine, but I don't feel the need to watch it again. And it's definitely not my favorite Mamoru Hosoda movie. Mine might be Boy and the Beast.
I have a soft spot for Summer Wars. I really like Summer Wars.
We know you do. Darwin, shut up about Summer Wars. Old Manga Mac meme. Seamus, yeah. What are your final thoughts on Belle?
Overall, didn't really like it. I think the smaller scale stuff from him, I think, works better for me.
So like Wolf Children and
Yes.
Midai.
Or if, conception of the internet that have some bearing on reality.
All right.
Or at least the large scale internet.
True. All right, then I think that's going to wrap up our discussion on Mamoru Hosoda's Belle. He doesn't have another movie out. Like, this was his newest movie, right? So
Correct.
he hasn't done one since it's...
Yeah,
okay.
I don't really keep up on anime movie news, so maybe they've announced a new project of his, but I have no idea.
I mean, this one got a 40-minute standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival, according to...
14. Yeah, 40-minute
Okay.
would be psychotic.
Okay. That's what I thought Seamus said yesterday, so I was like, damn, that's a long time. I mean, 14 is still pretty long, so... I'm sure he will be back to making something else, and we'll be talking about it on this podcast sometime in the future, so... All right, let's wrap up for this episode. Thank you to Dark Fox and Seamus for joining me. Big shout out to the people in the chat who stuck around, like Don, especially till the end. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to subscribe to us, rate us, review us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever else you can find us. Reminder, next week is our 9-year anniversary episode. And we will be doing a retrospective redux on Pluto with special guest Aiden Clark, manga letterer. Stay tuned for that. Check out our website, mangamachinations.com. Our Tumblr is mangamachinations.tumblr.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/mangamactv. Join the Discord server, come play Mahjong with us on Mondays. discord.me/mangamac. Send us emails, mangamachinations@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @mangamacpodcast. That's also our handle for Threads, Blue Sky, and Instagram. Don't forget to donate to our coffee to support us. That's ko-fi.com/mangamac. And help us buy our manga by buying us coffee. And you can follow my personal Twitter @Dakazoo, follow Darfox @Darfox8, follow Seamus @Seamus2389. Seamus is spelled without an H. Alright, everybody, thank you so much for listening to us this week. Bye-bye.